Pirkei Avot, Perek Daled, Mishnah Chof Aleph. Rabbi Elazar HaKaper Omer, Hakina v'hataiva v'hakavod moitziim es ha'oda min ha'olam. Kina, jealousy. Taiva, person pursues his desires, insatiable desires. Kavod, person who wants honor and glory, he wants people to be mechabed him. Moitziim es ha'oda min ha'olam. It takes a person out of his world. It destroys his life. It destroys his world. Which world are we talking about? Min ha'olam. Which world? So the various Rishonim have different interpretations, and the Rambam, the Meiri, and the Rashba, they have different interpretations. Some say that it's referring to Olam Hazeh. It's referring to this world. Because if a person pursues his desires, if a person has kina, he has jealousy, it leads him to averas, terrible averas, all kinds of averas, bein adam l'chavera, all kinds of averas. And taiva, he pursues his desires, all kinds of desires, machos, asurs, etc. It leads him to terrible averas and kavod. Who knows what he'll do to attain his honor and glory? Who knows what he'll transgress in order to achieve his aim? It'll shorten his life, chas v'sholem. Because of his averas, he'll be punished. It'll shorten his life. Some say that it's referring to Olam Haba for the similar reasons. He'll lose his Olam Haba for similar reasons because he'll be doing averas. Some say it's referring to both, Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. The question arises is, why does the Tana use this lashon min ha'olam? So say Olam Hazeh. So according to those it's Olam Hazeh, say Olam Hazeh. And those that say Olam Haba, Olam Haba. Those say both. And Shnei Olamas. What does it refer to when it says ha'olam, the world? Perhaps we can suggest that it's being meramez to a third olam, a third world, that it destroys another world. It'll cause them to lose a different olam. Which olam is that? Rabbeinu Yaina in Mishlei comments on the pasuk l'taiva yivakesh nifrad, that if a person pursues his taivas, nifrad. What does nifrad mean? Zok Rabbeinu Yaina, he says if a person pursues his taivas, he has insatiable desires, and therefore it's always about me. It's always about himself. It's always me. What he wants, what he needs, what he desires. If it's all about me, it's what he wants, then nifrad yipored, he will be ostracized, he'll be cut off. People will separate from him. They won't want to have anything to do with him. He'll be detested by people because he'll trample on other people's needs and desires. It's all about him, not about others. So they will distance themselves from him because he'll be in conflict with them, in conflict with their needs, and he will be detested by other people. Rabbeinu Yaina in Shari Tshuva expands on this, and he says, but the opposite is also true. If a person has self-control, and he subjugates his own desires, and he yields to the needs of others, he will be loved. Then people will love him. They will respect him and appreciate him and see that he's giving to them and he's willing to self-sacrifice for them, and he will be accepted and loved by others. But l'taiva yivakish nifra, those people who cannot, and those people who do not exhibit self-control and restraint and cannot subjugate their ego, their needs, their ani, their me, then yipored. They will be ostracized. They'll be separated. People will not want to have anything to do with them. So perhaps that's what the Tana is teaching us. Akina, v'taiva, v'kavod, moitziim es adam min ha'olam, from his olam. In addition to Olam Hazeh. and olam haba, but he'll also lose his olam, his social setting, his social network, his support system, his community, his friends. A person who cannot control his taivas, his kina, his desire for kavod, then he will be ostracized, and he'll lose his olam. He will lose his social setting, his safety net, those around him that would sustain him and support him and nourish him. He'll lose his olam. He'll separate from them. They'll separate from him. And he'll be alone. And he will have to attach himself to those who are not suitable to him and not fitting to him. He'll lose his olam. To illustrate the point with the Maisa, rather well-known Maisa with the Gadol Hador, Rav Aaron Leib Steinman Zecher Tzaddik Livrocha. There was a cheder in Eretz Yisrael, and there was an application to the cheder for some children who parents, it was a second marriage, they were Yisayimim, parents remarried, it was a second marriage. They applied to a certain Choshev cheder. And the Manal did not want to accept them. And he appealed to the Rosh Yeshiva, and he said, it doesn't pass for our cheder. It doesn't pass for our cheder. They're not from Choshev backgrounds. They're not up to the level of the mishpachas, of the other mishpachas in the cheder over here. It doesn't pass. It doesn't pass. Lo matim. The lo matim. That doesn't pass for we're Choshev cheder. It's not such a Choshev mishpacha. Rosh Yeshiva was not so sure. He said, okay, let's refer this to the Gadol Hador. Let's go and approach Rav Aaron Leib and see what he has to say about this. So the Manal made his case. He presented his case to the Rosh Yeshiva. That's all. He presented his case, and he said, "These boys don't pass. They don't pass for our cheder. They're not up to the mishpachas. They're not up to the standard of our cheder." So Rav Aaron Leib says, "Why not? Are they not willing to comply with the rules? Are they not willing to follow the rules and regulations and curriculum of the cheder? What is it that why don't they fit in? Why don't?" He says, because it doesn't pass for our cheder, the Manal said. It does not up to the standard of the rest of the mishpachas in our cheder. And therefore it doesn't pass, and then they won't they won't be matzliach. If it's not something that's suitable for them, doesn't comply with the, it's not up to the standard of the rest of the mishpachas over here, then they won't be matzliach, and the other boys won't be matzliach. It's not a fit. It's not a fit. Yeshiva says, who can say who will be matzliach and who won't be matzliach? If they have a desire to learn, if they are willing to comply with the rules and regulations, who can say that who will be matzliach and not be matzliach? So Manal said, yeah, there are those who say who can be matzliach and not. There are the parents who maintain that there will not be hatzlacha with this, and they maintain that if these boys are accepted into the cheder, then they don't want to send their children here, and they'll leave, and we'll lose these other mishpachas because they say they're not prepared to go with the same cheder with these mishpachas. The Rosh Yeshiva Zatzal heard this and immediately got very upset, and he started angrily saying and cried out, "Gaiva, gaiva, gaiva! It's all gaiva. This is not l'shem shamayim. They're not saying this l'shem shamayim. It's all gaiva. It's not erlich." He said, when I was a bocher, when I was a young boy, I went to cheder in Brisk. The Brisker Rav sent his son to the same cheder. And there were many mishpachas from outstanding Talmidei Chacham that sent to the cheder. But there were also from mishpachas, from Poshen mishpachas. There were also boys in the cheder from Poshen mishpachas. And they also went to the cheder. There were those who said, if these families come to the cheder, then we don't want to have any part of it. We don't want to participate if they come to the cheder. And so they left. And they left. And they made their own cheder. Nu, the Rosh Yeshiva said, do you think anything great ever came of them, of those who left? The cheder was good enough for the Brisker Rov, and it wasn't good enough for them. Think anything came of them? It's not l'shem shemayim. It's gaiva, gaiva, gaiva. The kina taiva kovad moitziim es adam min ha'olam, causes him to separate from his proper place, separate from his olam, separate from where he should be, and causes others to separate from him. And we always have to be vigilant and be on guard that when we think we're doing things l'shem shemayim, that when we think it's kanois, that we have to make sure, be very vigilant and be on guard to make sure and ensure that it's not gaiva.